Are you ready? Going on stage. I go. I start. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming here to our SIAD art exhibition. We are under the School of Art, which is School of Commercial Industrial Art and Design, or abbreviated as SIAD. Today and yesterday we had another exhibition, which is titled Shadows of the Mind: Journey Through Depression. We have been privileged to have Dr. Wilbur Sebuyugo Chidve the other name is very hard for me to pronounce, but he's here to give us a presentation about artistry and depression therapeutics through philosophy. I won't explain so much. Let me hand him the microphone so that he can take us through this presentation. You can stick around and hear what he has to say. It is helpful to you and it is helpful to have a look at all these drawings and paintings. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me in this session where I'm going to share about artistry and depression. This is depression therapeutics through philosophy. My name is Sebuyungo Wilba Shivekayunga, and this presentation is here at Nkumba University, the School of SIAD, the School of Commercial Arts and Design, Industrial Commercial Arts and Design. And here we're going to look at first philosophy. So philosophy has a driving lane for artistry, and what we are going to focus more on is the philosophy of realism, and then blend it with the classical conditioning theory by Ivan Pavlov. Now, the philosophy of realism tells us that life experiences which we undergo in our communities can be represented as expressions and impressions through the profession of art. So all our experiences we undergo in real life can be actually presented beyond imaginations within the field of art and commercial art. So what do we do when we are in our communities? We experience some past activities. Those are activities we have done in the past, and there are also activities that we are doing today, that these activities actually project into what we shall experience in the future. And when art adopts these activities that we do and all these experiences that we undergo and represent them in expression and impression, then possibly these experiences, when well designed, they can result into a solution to depression. So expressions and impressions can actually be solutions to depression. And those words which are related, we shall have to break them down as we go on. So what does classical conditioning theory state in life? That life can be conditioned to perform a certain way, and through experiences, life can be programmed just like one programs a computer. So all that we undergo today can be as a result of what was programmed our minds to experience in the past. And therefore, art can actually program our minds and our perspectives to act a certain way. So art is one way of conditioning the mind and also conditioning what we actually undergo in our day-to-day life. So art can result into improvement of our life experiences and create a true reflection of what we actually should be, and also project into what life should be from what life has been and what life is. So designing artistry in real life experiences will also be able to facilitate our achievements of the future. What can we achieve in the future basing on what we have ever achieved in the past, and also project into what we shall actually achieve in the times to come. So through realism and through realistic experiences, art is a design, and it will always be formulating our perspectives through what we see and also what we hear. So in the background of realism and conditioning, classical conditioning theorists, we have some questions that philosophy is asking every day. One of the questions is there music that we call healing music? That music that one listens to and actually gets healed. Is there music that actually relieves the mind and sets it fresh? And if this music actually exists philosophically, what is in the mind and in the heart of the person that is designing it? What does he have to look at to come up with this music that can actually cause healing and can actually erase and create a solution to depression? We also ask some other question in progress. And if there is music, can this music be programmed and be used as way of hospitalizing people under depression and creating a solution as a therapy to depression? So philosophy has always been asking other questions such as, is there audio and visuals that can cause healing to people with difficulties? Can it be a hospital where we go and only get visual experiences and audio experiences and get out of life difficulties? Is there a situation where there is an environment constructed by artistry where we enter and actually get healing, equivalent to when a person goes in the hospital and gets medication or undergoes physiotherapy? But this time round, the person undergoes what you call psychotherapy through artistry and art and design. Other questions have also been raised by philosophy. Is there videography and pictorials that actually help to heal the life of a person undergoing depression and revive the person undergoing aspects of pressure? So these questions uh, uh, prompt research to be able to get answers that can actually help a person to get to a solution in line with the solutions of depression as well. There are some experiences that we can have our reflection upon, that some walls that are painted with some sloganic representations, when people read these slogans, can actually experience a life of healing from depression. And walls that are patterned and created in such a way that having some sequences and patterns that are designed specifically to draw the life into reflection, drawing life into further imaginations, drawing life into realizing the meaning of life are drawn. If these walls are designed thoroughly well, then possibly can we have a life of depression erased from the person's life. So depression can be actually erased. Can it be? Philosophy is asking a question: can depression be erased by such impressions that are patterned, and the life of the person is structured to make sure that when a person looks at an environment designed in a patterned mode, that person actually gets out of depression through recovery of art. So art has experiences that are realistic that we have drawn. So now let us refocus on the meaning of depression and how possibly we can use the faculty of art to be able to solve depression experiences. So depression in Latin comes from the word depremere, which actually translates to another word depressure, which actually in the English language translates to the word press down. So it means that with depression, the person actually experiences a press down situation. There are two words here. There is a word pressing and also there is another down. That translates that a person experiencing an environment of depression is actually down and is actually experiencing an environment of being pressed down. So pressure, there is a word pressure and also another one down. So it is pressing life down, and that's why experiments have shown that people who are undergoing depression, their heads are actually tilted down and their eyes are actually also placed down to the extent that a person starts to see that life is actually down and the life is on ground. So how can this life that is now down and is being pressed down be revived? Research shows that when a person's life is pressed down and is drawn in a situation of depression, this person is actually experiencing a multitude of thoughts flowing, very many thoughts flowing in a very short time, drawing the person to feeling a no solution zone. So the person starts to feel a no solution zone, and this no solution zone, the person starts to think that there are no achievements in life. That means that depression situations actually result in the person experiencing a zero achievement life. So the person shifts the mind from all the achievements that he has ever undergone to thinking that life is now meaningless and therefore there is no solution that has ever existed that can draw the person away from such kind of pain or heart breaks or any form of situation that is resulting into the depression at hand. So research is really extracting through philosophy, the philosophy of realism and the philosophy of conditioned thinking to create an environment and giving birth to a situation which we call a psycho-patterned situation where if the person draws the patterns in art, they are patterned drawings which shows specific lines of specific patterns which are lines drawn or painted patterns on walls and in environments, that these patterns when they are written on the mind, they create an environment called a recovery zone where someone was feeling that there is no solution. These patterns bring a recovery zone to the mind, starting to think of past victories and reflect on how to create a solution on the available challenge. So there is what we call a negation of the mind. The negation of the thoughts is a reversive process which where a person would have thought of the positive now starts thinking of the negatives. And when the negatives are thought and they are accumulative in nature, the person still is drawn into into a solutionless environment, thinking that the world has no solution and therefore no one can ever recover the person to come to a normalized situation or a problemless situation. So in that environment, research is indicating that through the philosophy of art and through the environment of realism, we can still create a psychopattern theory. Psychopattern theory states that the mind can be reciprocated and can be drawn into a reversive thinking possibility where all the negativities and the negated achievements can be positivized. Positivized. You can make the negated negated possibilities positivized possibilities where the person starts to think that there is a possibility where there where I was thinking that there is no possibility at all. That means that the zero-minded perspective or the zero achievement perspective that the person has accumulated over time can be refilled to be positivized to have a positive figure so that the person starts to feel elevated other than feeling in a other than feeling that the person is in a depression. So depression is a negated position, yet elevation is a positivized position where the person has to think that there is a way to go up than the way to go down. So how does art attempt to solve this situation where the mind can be distorted and can perceive zero achievement? So art is creating a perception and an impression of positive thinking. So it should be designed to collect all the past achievements of the person and draw these past achievements of the person through a progressive achievement pattern which helps the person to reflect and see all the past achievements as possible future achievements. So this helps the person to lift up what has been drawn down and they lift up the face to see that because the past has some achievements, so the future can have achievements. That because the past has had some solutions to some challenges, and that is what is accounting to the presence of the person in the current times, so the person starts to imagine that there are future possibilities that he can actually have achievement. So, art has to adopt a pattern of extracting and mining into people's past victories and past achievements and drawing illustrations and impressions so that these past experiences are actually realized in a person's daily life, and this can be pressed either on a person's handset and the person can actually see past victories on a phone screen which has been designed artistically, on a computer screen each day which has been designed artistically with those past experiences with and these experiences can also be drawn on the wall to show that the person has ever had victories in the past, and these victories of each individual have got to be studied because the victories of each person are different. We do not have very many unifying victories. Each person has his own victory experiences, victorious experiences that we have to extract through research and through findings so that the person's experiences are illustrated on through art and can actually be displayed in visible places such as dining halls, such as walls, to explain that the person has ever had experience these positivized experiences. So these achievements, when they get into the minds of the person, and the person reflects on the past experiences which were victorious in nature, then the person starts to think that there is a possibility of even winning the available circumstance. And then there is also a possibility of overcoming future challenges and having the victories and further victories again. So these challenges art and artists, those that are in design and in fashion, to find visibility places such as even art that is fitting into the bedroom, even onto the bed and the bed sheets, art that is fitting onto environments of the person's living, and art that is fitting into the environment of a person's long exposure time of the eye and the ears, so that the person's past experiences of victory are always reflected. So in the past, we used to have photo albums, which a person would open for a visitor and actually reflect on past experiences which were victorious and glorious in nature. But in the current times, art is becoming very digitized and adopting a digitized nature where all these artistic impressions can be reflected onto digitized platforms where the person can actually play a video of past experiences reciprocating his or her own past experiences which may be negative, and that can result into a negation of the present experiences, that the person is able to reflect on victorious times through visualization on what is on the wall, on what is in the kitchen, on what is on the house, on what is displayed in the workplace, so that these past experiences of victory are always registering and writing themselves on the life and the mind of the person each day. Depressive moments are actually also explained by researchers that there are times when a person actually forgets and the mind ceases to think of situations which are positive and situations which are better. So for this instance, the person starts to imagine that the time has ended and the start is now the end. So how can art actually progress and extrapolate or interpolate the mind from where it has got stuck into where it should go? That is why these recommendations were made. So therapeutic walls should be realistically drawn. They are walls which are therapeutic in nature and they can actually work on the mind when a person looks at them. And these walls are patterned in design. When these walls are patterned in design using color themes and the person looks at these walls, the focus of the eye ends up registering in the mind and structures the mind to think in a patterned format. You remember that depressive moments actually occur when the mind is actually happening in a distorted thinking, and the distortion of the mind is a destruction of the pattern. So, creating the patterns back and recovering this mind requires the person to undergo what you can call either therapeutic walls, which can be therapeutic walls, can be physical or can also be electronically designed that can move or the person moves through them, and at the end of them, the person actually gets a reflection of life at hand and the life at the future being positivized. Then also art needs to adopt an environment of eventful moment reflection. So people's events which were victorious should be extracted and actually designed in an artistic way which shows a sequence from the past to the most recent up to the current, and can also draw the future experiences that the person can actually start to imagine that due to the capturing of my past experiences in a sequenced manner from the time I was born, this is how I was. When I grew up to primary 7, this is what I achieved. Up to secondary school, this is what I achieved up to the current times. So that the person is able to connect between past victories, that even when the situation of depression happens right now, the person is able to remember. So remembering is what we call memory, and these memories should be drawn on people's visibility places, could be places of work or or domiciles where people actually live, so that when depressive moments happen, people can look at around and see their past eventful times and actually do a recovery and reciprocate from the negated patterns of thinking. We also, this research also advises artists, fashion designers, and those in the field of artistry to adopt methods of environmental formation. In art, you can create an environment that can enable the person to reflect being outside when the person is actually inside. Many people actually think of being in the forests, and actually through artistry, the forest can be drawn closer to their homes, and even the forest can also happen in their rooms of residence or their bedrooms. So those that want to be in the lakes, can these experiences be drawn close to their houses, and they can even be brought on the table. Those who want to be in the sky experiences can be brought to their phones, so they feel being in the skies, but through imagination and the world of realism. When these patterns are actually drawn, they can bring about a solution to depression. And when the storybooks are also designed to bring about the past experiences of people, the albums, memory figures are drawn, and all these are destined to recovering the person from past experiences, doing the person to seeing a progressive future, and other than having a depressive lifestyle. So, a solution to art is possible through the philosophy of realism and conditioned thinking, through the classical theory of living, and therefore art can actually cause a life that is recovered from depression through impression and expression. The art can also bring about therapeutic recoveries through psychotherapeutic recoveries, and also bring about the theory of pattern thinking.